Hey, Street Insiders, welcome back to your front row seat to the unfiltered news, trends, and commentary driving today's culture. Today, we digest what other creators have said regarding the release of the Cito Call. Street Style shouts out Willie D, Shonda M, Raw News and Shows, Allegra, Janetta, and CJ join in too.
It's that the boy's name who writes with Smart started yelling at No. He also admits that throughout the day, they were all picking on No for being with that girl. And the moment, W says, the moment that girl and No sit in front of Smart's boat, Smart starts yelling at him all of a sudden out of nowhere, get on the boat. Boat wasn't having a mileage pump or billage pump.
Here comes the $1 million breakdown.
Issue. Says verbatim, we have an issue where we have finally trimmed down the boat and got it on the right plane. That they all moved to one side of the boat. When you trim down the motor to get it on the right plane, that means that you drop the bow. This is how you are supposed to get the actual boat from being completely still to an accelerated speed fast. That they left the trim down when trying to accelerate off the island at a very fast speed, and this is what blew the bilage pump. If the trim is not up when you try to take down, it causes water to back up in the bilage. The trim is left up, the bow shoots high into the air during acceleration, forcing all loose bilage water to rush to the very back of the hull. This is why they all tried to do the emergency mover where they move forward. This traps water in the boat and specifically at the bilage pump. Did an emergency remover that everyone knows about, and this fucked up the bilage pump and it started to take on water. Bilage pump wasn't an issue until they made it a quarter mile offshore, like he said, at 40 miles per hour, because they didn't take the emergency brake, and the maneuver that they used to try to get the bow back up fucked everything up on the boat. Question is, what type of panic or event ensued that y'all were moving so fast, the boys who've known boats since they were children, that y'all forgot to do the simplest thing when trying to accelerate from a stop on a boat that everyone knows when you're speeding, like they said, at 40 miles per hour. Something happened to cause enough chaos for them to fuck that up, is my point.
Okay, let's talk about it. If you guys don't see why this is so big, let me break it down. And for those of you that do understand what she's saying, y'all, we've been looking at this all wrong. And maybe they've been sending us red herrings. But thank God for Aja. Make sure y'all follow her. Mama she's smart, beautiful, love her, right? Listen to this. The whole thing about the trim, the bilge pump, all that stuff. These boys, and Warren was bragging about it. We've been on the boat our whole lives. We know this, we know that. When you go to leave, you must remove the trim. It was a rookie error. It's like trying to drive at 80 miles an hour while your parking brake is on. And you see the emergency parking brake on, and you don't care. You're still going. Backing out, and you floor it. And if 40 miles an hour in a boat is fast, so that's like literally going from 80 miles an hour out your mama's neighborhood, flooring it. And for what? What was the rush? Why were you guys so eager to get off of Horns Island that you forgot to take the emergency brake off? You forgot to take the trim off, and you literally went, vroom. And that's how the bilge pump actually got messed up. And that's why it even said in the interview that he had to go and pop the trim out. Because the one thing that should have happened before you even left the island, you didn't go, and you were going at 40-something miles an hour. Now we know from what they've said, if we can believe it, Bart met them out there. Bart offered a tow. They took it. While Wyatt is on the phone, at the time he's being towed, talking to Cito. Wyatt's granddaddy is on the phone with the Cito captain saying, don't worry about it. Don't you worry about... Okay, let me stop playing this serious, right? Got it. Now, we got that. But again, what happened that made these boys that have been on boats all their lives flee Horn Island? And how is it that everybody involved that Warren came with wants us to know and believe from the bottom of their hearts? And even they have phone calls to prove it, that they left at 4 o'clock off of Horn Island. And why did you flee It seems like 42 miles an hour off of that island to the point of help had to be rendered while you were at sea. Why? Indeed. Why indeed? So let's get back to what we know. Nolan's coach, one of his coaches, I don't know if it's current, but one of his coaches, because he's had a bunch, said that he saw Nolan on the island sometime between 2:30, 3:30, he's not sure, and he didn't look a liquor drunk. He was perfectly sober. On top of that, he had a D1 tryout. He was D1 and he had an important tryout on Monday. Okay. And he didn't look a liquor drunk. So how, if he did see you around 2:30, 3:30, right? How did you get so drunk that it turned into an accidental drowning? Katie, the person your family says they love and they trust, and she chills. Tell me how Katie said the last time I saw him was when I believe it was Bart or one of the friends was yelling, "No, get the F on the boat. Get the F on the boat." Now, she is true. Tristan and Warren both admitted in the interview that they were teasing Nolan about being with Katie. Warren said, I looked at him and was like, man, you crazy. Tristan said he walked by and said some slick shit to him.
Brantley joining us tonight, and she shows herself in that video showing what she is doing. What does adding EQ mean, Ms. Brantley?
Adding EQ is basically selecting a certain frequency of the actual sound and either deleting or removing a certain noise, something that's problematic to the ear, deleting that or boosting that. That's literally all EQing is.
What was your process, Janetta? Because I was sitting researching. It was early in the morning, like 5:45 a.m. several days ago, and I was researching the Nolan Wells case, and I saw the transcript as it was being played. And my husband was also up. He said, "What's wrong?" I'm like, if this is real, this changes everything. It changes everything. Because up until that point, it seemed as if Nolan's death could very well have been an accident. If this is real, it changes everything. It's seismic. What was your reaction when you heard these words, Janetta Brantley?
I think at my core, I was in disbelief. I wasn't cleaning it or enhancing it to specifically look for or identify a crime or even point the fingers at anybody. I believe I wanted it to be an accident. I think a lot of us wanted it to be an accident. So when I heard those things, when I heard, damn it, Bart, that name stood out to me because I hadn't even heard that name before. As I was listening to certain things that stood out to me, I was in disbelief because, again, I'm just an audio engineer. I'm not an investigator, a detective, or anything like that. So when I heard a name that I wasn't familiar with, it stood out to me. And that alone made me want to hear what was immediately said after "damn it, Bart." And so that's why in that process where "damn it, Bart" came in loud and clear to me, I decided to go over to the next part to hear what the rest of that statement was, which is where you saw me actually create a loop over that part, split that part, and then add a gain, which the gain is boosting the volume overall. And that's pretty much what you saw me do in that actual video. And so to hear, "damn it, Bart, Nolan's really dead now," that I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
My reaction to
I listened to the Nolan Wells audio, the recording of the call to the boat tow company. Don Lemon posted it, so I did listen to it on his page. I had my husband listen to it as well because he has the best hearing on planet Earth. And I have to say, I almost don't believe my ears. And because of that, we listened to it without reading the subtitles so that we wouldn't be swayed by the subtitles and we would just hear what we were actually hearing. So when we did this, I wrote a bunch of Post-it notes with exactly what we heard. Can we cover it up? Yeah, I thought all about that. We heard "cover it up" for a second time. Ooh, shit. Someone said either "I'm thinking" or "I'm sinking." I think it was thinking though. You killed him. We both heard someone scream "Nolan, he's dead." We both heard the word "suspect" and "oh my God," and get the fuck up. I think that was like one of the most clear things that was said in the audio. And we also heard, damn it, Bart. That was very, very clear. So it's safe to say I was extremely troubled about this case before I listened to the audio. Now that I've listened to it at least 10 times, we need answers. Because this is the sketchiest shit I've ever heard. So if you want to listen to the audio, go listen for yourself. Don Lemon has it on his page. And I guarantee you will hear many of these same things. We need answers and justice for Nolan now.
One of Nolan's friend's mom has claimed that he was with him at the boat, the audio. Claimed, by the way.
Now, here's the weird thing to me. This is what stands out to me the most. When we found out that Nolan was missing, my son immediately snapped him, and then Christine messaged him back and said, "I have Nolan's phone now." This was at 12:53, according to the screenshot that I have. This was at 1:53 in the morning. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he, for whatever reason, I don't know if he was going to, I don't know why he took the screenshot, to be honest with you. I think it was maybe even a God thing. But he took a screenshot of Nolan's location on Snapchat because they shared locations with each other. And on that screenshot, it shows Nolan basically in the middle of the Gulf, like right off of Horn Island. It said that he had been at that location for 13 hours, which would make sense if you just back up that timeline. That would make sense around the time that they would have arrived at the island. But what was weird was that his location didn't change. It said that he was last active an hour prior to that. And my son, I think it said it was like 53 minutes prior to that my son had sent him a snap. So why the location didn't change is odd.
Nolan's last location was in Ping Island. And that's what's really interesting. If the phone would have been on, it would have pinged them where the parents was going to get the phone, at his house. Reminder, to get somebody's ping on Snapchat, you have to be somebody's close friend. So I wonder who it is out of all the group. Remember, 9 people or more literally were there at the boat.
Is making statements. He is making specific statements about specific things that happen. I'm talking particularly here about his latest statement of, we tried to get Nolan to get on the boat. We begged him to get on the boat. He wouldn't get on the boat. It's things like this. You are locking yourself down to specific facts. And what law enforcement does from that point is they either verify or disprove those specific facts. And once you start poking holes in somebody's story, what that leads to is statements of, oh, well, that's not what I meant. What I meant was this. You make another statement, they poke holes in that, and so on and so on. Classic law enforcement behavior, but this Warren Hudson guy is doing it for them. The cops just have to sit back and watch.
What's up, family? People are saying that Nolan Wells' friends did such a horrible job in their interview with Officer Tatum that apparently Officer Tatum had to set them up, because ain't no way. You know they rehearsed and everything, right? Tatum even led them at times in questioning, gave them a really softball type interview, and they still bombed. He had to know, is what people are saying. They're saying he had to know that these dudes were out of pocket. Now, here's the deal, fam. I don't know if Tatum intentionally set anybody up, but he damn sure got them talking. And for that, we're thankful. I ain't got no problem with that. Yeah, man, I ain't got no problem with that, because loose lips sink ships. Yeah. Officer Tatum gave Nolan's friends a comfortable platform to explain themselves. The more they talked, the more details they put on record. See, family, sometimes nobody has to trap you. They just have to let you talk. Let you talk. You heard people say it. In fact, the police, that's one of their best strategies. Get them to talking. Get them to talking. Eventually, they'll say something that contradicts or puts them in a compromising position. They'll say something that incriminates them or their friends. Yeah, fam. Eventually, just let them talk. And boy, did he let them talk, especially Warren. Yeah. See, when they talk, when they put it on record, every detail can be checked. Times, locations, and conversations, they can all potentially be compared. Against what? GPS, phone data, video, photos, witnesses. Yeah. And once you get specific, investigators have something they can fact check.
Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe.